Hey, what's up guys, it's Axel, and today we're checking out the Softears RSV Mark II. This is the follow-up to the original Softears RSV. It's an all-BA IEM, has a 4-way crossover, 5 balanced armature drivers, and it's priced around $700. And let's start by talking about what comes in the box. Right, what do you get inside the box? Obviously you get 2 earpieces, you do get 3 pairs of liquid silicone ear tips, 3 other pairs of silicone ear tips. You do get 2 pouches for protecting the earpieces, and you do get this puck style zipper case with leather on the outside that gives it a nice feeling. And it's definitely a portable case, I like that. You also get this very nice cable. This cable is soft. You know, it's flexible, it's completely memory free, by the way. Like, you leave it flat, it stays flat, and it never tangled with me. It's very pliable, slightly thick, but easy to handle, no microphonics, and the chin slider works. It's a fantastic cable, I really like it. It's black in color, terminates in 4.4, and there's also this 4.4 to 3.5 pigtail adapter that feels integrated into the cable, which is really nice. It doesn't strain your device because this part right here is not, you know, big or anything. Plus you also get a cleaning cloth and a cleaning brush. As for the earpiece design, this is the design of the Softears RSV. You know, it's black in color, and it's on, you know, resin build right here. There's a resin nozzle, but you do get a ridge right here, you know, that helps hold on to ear tips securely. The faceplate here has what looks like a vent, so, you know, there's no pressure buildup with this IM. And that said, it still has good isolation, so that's nice. You know, slightly recessed 2-pin connector, and as you can see, it's kind of like compact. It's not, I wouldn't call this a big IM, I would call this an average sized earpiece. And yeah, this is how it looks like. I like the black color, like it matches the cable and looks cool. So there you go. For me, comfort is great, you know, fits snugly in my ear, stays in place, no pressure buildup with it, even when taking it outside of my ear. So, you know, this is really nice for an all balanced armature set. Now let's talk about the sound, and let's look at the frequency response graph. Now on the graph, to me, this looks like a bass boosted neutral set. You get strong bass boost, you know, you get flat lower mids, elevated upper mid-range, and mostly neutral treble. So for me, I would call this like a neutral with a bass boost or a bassy all-rounder set. Now, 2 quick notes here. I would say number 1, this is a 7 ohm impedance IM, so you will want to use a low output impedance source. And number 2, for me and the RSV Mark II, I really prefer them with wide bore ear tips. With standard bore ear tips, sometimes I felt the treble sounded a bit more relaxed, you know, compared to the bass. Switching to wide bore ear tips gave me more treble presence, and that made the sound had a stronger sense of clarity, and I really like that. I will post a picture that shows the difference even in how the nozzles look. Now let's talk about the bass, because definitely this is the star of the show. Now this is a bass focused IM. Both the sub bass and mid bass are boosted, which kind of gives it that sense of fullness, that sense of weight. The texture is excellent. Like, you can pick up, you know, bass guitar strings, you know, subtle vibrations, you know, and details in the bass. I would say fantastic bass texture on the RSV Mark II. That said, the bass is dominant though. That bass is louder than the mids and louder than the treble. So this amount of bass is going to be for bass lovers, you know, people who like that bass. I have to say that for me, it's so much fun. The question is, does this type of bass, you know, has the physicality, you know, that comes from a dynamic driver? I would still say no. Like, it's very textured, it's very nuanced, has some weight behind it, and has a satisfying sense of fullness, but not quite at the level of the physicality that you get from a dynamic driver. That said, I will still rate the bass of the RSV Mark II a step above like most of the all balanced armature sets that I have tried. In terms of the mid-range here, it has that beautiful mid-range tonality. It's forward, it's not shouty, it's not lean or thin. There's good note weight here. Male and female vocals sound natural. Female vocals don't sound husky, and instruments have good timbre. Separation is great, you know, that's really nice for a bassy set. And basically it's a natural type of mid-range that many of us love about Softears IEMs. You find it here. I'll say though, on bass heavy tracks, on tracks that have an exaggerated sense of bass, sometimes the mids can feel half a step behind the bass, but on most tracks, you know, or actually in most balanced tracks, I feel the mids still shine and they sound engaging. As for the treble is smooth. It's mostly neutral with a slight lower treble lift that keeps percussions, you know, high frequency percussion crisp and slightly forward, but I wouldn't call this treble airy, and I wouldn't call it lacking air either. It sounds present, and it's well extended and balances that boosted bass nicely without drawing too much attention to itself. If we talk about the technical performance, I would say for a bassy IEM, like the technicalities here are great. Like instrument separation surprisingly is strong, and in terms of the stage and the imaging, I will describe both as decent. And on my technical scale, like I would place this roughly around 90% between the Truth Ear Nova and the Elysian Pilgrim, and easily one of the better bassy sets I've tested when it comes to the resolution. Let's start the comparison segment, and of course, you know, the first IEM I want to talk about is the original RSV. The original RSV was less bassy with more forward vocals, which kind of gave it a vocal-focused mid-centric sound. Mark II still has that same mid-range tonality, that natural tonality, but it just adds more bass. So if you love the OG and you wish it had more bass, that's exactly what the Mark II delivers. But of course, the vocals are not here the front, are not front and center. They're not the star of the show like they were with the Softears RSV. And compared to the Studio 4, I love the Studio 4, is a mid-range and vocal specialist. You know, it's super clear in the mid-range, very natural mid-range timbre, great sense of separation, but it's light on the bass. I feel the Mark II here, the RSV Mark II, keeps that natural mid-range, adds a boosted full textured low end, and the bass quality itself is much better. Now, compared to the Letshuoer Mystic 8, the Mystic 8 shines in the mid-range. It shines with vocals, especially female vocals. They sound airy, lively, and extended, but it's neutral in the bass. I would say the RSV Mark II gives you the natural mids with the boosted low end and a tamed upper treble. So for me, I will describe the Letshuoer Mystic 8 as a neutral with an airy upper treble boost, while I will describe the Softears RSV Mark II as neutral with a strong bass boost. And finally, we have the Hisenior Mega 5 EST, you know, Bass Plus. The Bass Plus is also another 5-driver IEM, but it's a triber and it has a good bass physicality. It has a slight treble lift and more extended lively highs that make hi-hats and percussions, you know, pop a bit more. So on the Hisenior Mega 5 EST Bass Plus, kind of focus on the bass, and I also enjoy some of that highlight in the treble, some of that shimmer. The RSV Mark II, on the other hand, has slightly less physical sense of bass physicality, but better bass texture, note separation, and more accurate or neutral sounding treble. I feel both of these sound natural in the mid-range, but the RSV Mark II edges out when it comes to the bass texture. It has a bit more mid-range separation, while the Mega 5 EST Bass Plus, it has that more physicality in the bass, and it sounds a bit more engaging and shimmery and lively in the highs. Now, who I recommend the RSV Mark II? Number one, bass lovers. You know, sub bass and mid bass here are full, are textured. And if you love the bass, you love the definition and detail, you're gonna love it here. Number two, those who love the original RSV Mark II and wanted, you know, a natural sounding mid-range but with more low end. And number three, if you like all BA sets, you know, and you want one that has boosted bass. And number four, I would say, you know, it's something to consider if you like all balanced armature sets, you like their sound, but you want one that is vented and doesn't have pressure buildup. I feel the RSV Mark II does that. Now, who I don't recommend the RSV Mark II to? Number one, for anyone who prefers a neutral or vocal-focused, mid-range focused IEM, you know, like the Softears Studio 4 or the Letshuoer Mystic 8 are better options here. I don't recommend it if you want something neutral or referencey. I also don't recommend it if you don't like a strong bass boost. I also don't recommend it if you are looking for a dynamic driver style bass, that sense of physicality. And I don't recommend it if you are looking for a bright or an airy treble. Treble here is smooth and controlled. And time to give the RSV Mark II a final rating, and here's my rating system and what it means. I'm gonna give the Softears RSV Mark II a solid rating of 4 stars out of 5. It's a strong IEM, definitely competitive with standout qualities. And yeah, that's it for today's review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.